real estate is a big area for faith-driven investments. It's something we know about, it's something we can look at, we can touch, and we can feel, we can visit, and we've come to understand the importance of being able to love on people where they live and where they work. So here's a story from Pete Kelly at Apartment Life.
The best part about where you live isn't the place, the amenities, or even that killer view. It's the people. People are what make us feel connected, from a wave across the parking lot, to sharing dinner, to real friendships. But most residents living in apartment communities don't even know their neighbors. And while apartment residents are lonelier than ever, churches aren't sure how they can serve these communities. That's why we created Apartment Life, a faith-based nonprofit built on a business model that meets the needs of apartment owners and local churches. Research shows the more friends a resident has, the happier they are, and the longer they stay, even when rent goes up. Which is why we hire amazing people gifted in hospitality that love hosting epic events. Our coordinators have hundreds of natural opportunities to demonstrate God's love to residents and connect them to the local church. We are passionate about serving all people in all kinds of communities with excellence, so our coordinators are in high demand with apartment owners and managers. Think you're the right balance of relational and professional? Apply today. Improving the bottom line, bringing life. Apartment Life.
Pete, thanks so much for being with us on the show today. The explainer video is helpful, but we really want to be able to dig in a little bit more on what Apartment Life does and how you guys go about that work.
Yeah, so when you think about apartment communities, they're actually pretty disconnected places to live. And you'd think, like, with so many people in like such close proximity, it'd be like the easiest place to make friends and to build community. But like most of America, people living in apartments are pretty disconnected from their neighbors. Like, they come and go to work, they don't really hang out outside, they don't hang out in the public places. And what makes it a little bit harder in apartment communities is you got that constant turnover of neighbors. And so living in an apartment is actually a pretty lonely place to live. And that loneliness takes a physical toll on people's bodies. I think it was the insurance company Cigna a couple years ago did some research on the state of how loneliness impacts people's health. This is like 2018, 2019. They found that 61% of Americans would identify themselves as lonely, and that takes a dramatic toll on people's health. And that's pre-COVID, so imagine what it is today. But they said that loneliness is as bad for your health as heavy drinking and obesity. In fact, they would say like one lonely day is as hard on your body as smoking a pack of cigarettes. So that's the physical toll. But the spiritual toll is even greater. North American Mission Board would say that 95% of people living in apartment communities are unchurched. So that might be the largest unreached people group in our country. And the irony is that people living in apartments are incredibly spiritually open. A lot of them are going through a major transition. They might have just moved into town for a job. They might be going through a divorce or a new marriage. So they're super spiritually open, but churches aren't sure, like, how do we reach them? A lot of these are like gated communities. They don't want people from the outside coming in. And so that's where we come in. We are a ministry built on a business platform that helps apartment owners with one of their greatest needs, which is resident retention, resident satisfaction. But we also give people from churches a valid business reason to be in those communities. And so our program it's community building. And as you create that sense of community, people stay longer, they're happier even when rent goes up. But it also gives people from the church a way to serve the community and impact people's lives.
So super compelling unmet need, and great opportunity to be able to impact the business results in addition to being able to minister to people's spiritual depravity. What are the nuts and bolts? What do you want the audience to take away from how you guys do the ministry work that you do that's so important?
Yeah, so our traditional model is like we place two people who live in that community, and they are like the welcome wagon. They welcome every new resident when they move in. They throw all the parties and events. They look for opportunities to care for people, maybe the birth of a child, a job loss, taking them to the airport when they need to catch a flight. And then 90 to 120 days before that resident's lease is set to renew, they'll go back and visit them and say, like, how's your experience been? Are you thinking about sticking around? So as they do that, it creates this sticky community where people feel like I actually know my neighbors. I like it here, and so they stick around. So that helps on the business side, but all the people that we recruit to do this are from local churches. And so as they do the program, which isn't inherently spiritual, they have hundreds of
We're going to go back over and we're going to explore now what it looks like to reflect God's truth in God's Word in the commercial sector. And we're going to go to Jack Kim at Core Alliance who's going to share with us what are some of the possibilities are in that area of real estate, the work that you guys do.
Yeah, so for a number of years we've been working with an outside economic consulting firm called Witten Advisors, and they've done several studies for us over the years. The first one they did was called the Friendship Factor, and they were trying to measure the correlation between the number of relationships an apartment resident would have and their likeliness to renew their lease. And what they found is the magic number is about 7. If an apartment resident knows 7 of their neighbors, they're almost twice as likely to renew their lease as the average person who doesn't know any of their neighbors. The other thing Witten Advisors does for us, they do individual economic impact studies for each of the communities that we serve if we want them. So it costs $200 to do those, but we'll do those for ownership groups. And so they compile all of these together, and they would say on average, we're saving apartment owners $188,000 a year in terms of turnover and marketing.
Wow.
$188,000, $188,000 a year. So if you divide that by a 6% cap rate, I mean, that's $3 million of value. Yes, definitely. And that makes sense to me. A number of years ago, I read a Harvard Business Review article on the new science of customer emotions, and they were basically saying that a customer who is emotionally connected with a company or a brand is like 52% more valuable than somebody who's just highly satisfied. And in that case, they were measuring like credit card companies and I think it was apparel retail. So basically they're saying that if you feel emotionally connected to that brand, you're going to shop there more often, you're going to spend more money. And I'm thinking, well, that's for a credit card company. Imagine what it would be for real estate, the place where you live, you raise your family. It just makes sense to me that it would make a great economic impact.
Well, I'm not a math major, but $188,000 and a 6% cap rate, that math works on the business side, and the spiritual fruit that you've seen through the work that you guys are doing is just incredible. So I really appreciate you being with us, share your story.
Luke, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.